So in 1997, I met my wife, my fiance at the time, and going into 98, we'd made plans to be married. I was stationed in Beaufort, South Carolina, at Parris Island, right outside of Beaufort. And I had gone to my first sergeant at the time, letting her know that I was going to get married. You know, in the Marine Corps is a non-NCO. You're really supposed to let your command know what you're doing. So I let them know what I was doing, roughly 3 to 4 months ahead of time. They sent me to these classes, made these provisions. Well, when it came time for me to take my leave for 5 days to go get my fiance at the time, they denied it. And the problem is, my wife had already made plans. She had already moved out of her apartment with her roommates, already moved in with her parents. They were only going to let her stay there for a little while, quit her job. We had to transition. So I made the decision to ask another Marine that was stationed there with me to drive back to Texas with me. And we were on a 96, so we were just going to step out of the parameters that we were allowed, which was 500 miles, and step right back in. Things didn't go as planned. On the way home, driving my Dodge Neon at the time, and I recently bought it, and it had tires that were, I guess, balded, and I didn't really pay attention to all that. I just bought the car a few days before. As we were driving back, the weather got severely, just almost like a hurricane, really torrential rain. It started from roughly Florida, around Pensacola, and we were, heading through I-10. We were in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, when I guess he lost control of the vehicle. I was asleep, reclined in the passenger seat, and when I came to, I was on the side of, I guess, the ditch where an EMT had me, and it was morning. The daylight was out, and anyways, I found out that later on that Marine, his name was Jason LaLiberty, he died. The car was underwater, and I should have died, but what happened was all 4 bolts on the passenger seat broke, and it pushed that passenger seat all the way to the back, and it pushed my head into a little bubble that was still, a little air bubble that was still there. The car was underwater for the most part, but there was a little bubble due to the angle where my head was pushed into. And truck drivers said they saw me when they were driving, and they couldn't have really, he saw my arm sticking above the water. We came to find out later on that there was no way he could have saw my arm sitting above the water, because he even recently found me in September of 2019. He sent me a message on Facebook Messenger. He found me, and he said, we had some dialogue, which I had mentioned I never understood how he could have seen my arm because I was out of it. And then he clicked. He had a realization. He said that him and his 2 friends had to help hold the car up, and he's like, I never thought of it before, but you're right. There's no way that could have been your arm. You were trapped in that car, and my friend was holding on to your arm, which he had to reach down under the water, and you couldn't have, got your arm out of there. So either way, there was either an angel, something that was making him see an arm sticking above the water, which was not mine. But the point is, the Lord saved me. And the ironic thing behind that is, the crazy thing is, that the person that was with me, they had been saying some stuff, and I don't know necessarily, they weren't a believer in the Lord, and they had bad experience with Christians, and they were kind of making fun of a situation. And I didn't have courage at the time, no boldness. I was making fun of it with them. And but I know that when I was in that accident, I remember waking up for a brief second. I remember seeing the speedometer and seeing like vertigo, everything spinning, and I know I called on Jesus' name. And even though I had not been faithful to Jesus, he was faithful to me.